So this morning we will take a look at leadership, but we're going to do it from we're going to start at a personal perspective and then move our way up to an organizational perspective. So the question is, how do you define leadership for yourself? As a professional, you should have your own definition of leadership, and you should walk in that. You should lead in how you believe leadership should be. So what I'd like you to do is take a minute or two and write down what your definition of leadership is. Come up with one definition in your group of leadership, and then write it on the chart paper, and we're going to put them up on the walls.
Member of staff. Yeah, for example, yes, assistants, good school.
So we have gotten some very good definitions. Did you guys have a definition? Good. So I've heard some things. I can't read it, of course, but I've recognized some words. But I've heard some things that are consistent in the literature about leadership and is consistent in my experience about leadership. So we have uniting for common goals, removing stereotypes, barriers, modeling, effectiveness, one who has goals, engaging others, one who collaborates, one who is a decision maker. The word management also came up, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And the one that I like the most is the person who is followed, because if you don't have any followers, you are not a leader. Schools and schooling need groups of educational leaders who are bold and unapologetic when it comes to the education of children. It is time to stop playing with the lives of those who are entrusted to our care. We are given the lives of children to make sure that they become successful adults. I would say that the idea of transformational leadership is one that is extremely important as we are leading effective schools. So on this slide here, transformational leadership is 4 things. It's a process. Secondly, it is also influence. It has core elements, and it is an all-encompassing approach. There are what we call 4 I's of transformational leadership. The first is called idealized influence or charisma. Now, leaders who have this idea of charisma encourage followers to accept radical change. They serve as an inspiration for others. So think of examples in your life of those who you would consider inspirational or charismatic leaders. So strategic leaders in the 21st century, they have a vision, they adapt to change, they take initiatives to help students acquire 21st century skills, and they help teachers set high, concrete goals. So the question is, if you are doing these things, what are the skills that 21st century children need to be successful? What are we preparing them for? The second type of leadership within this transformational piece is instructional leadership. How many people in the room are instructional leaders or practice instructional leadership? The reason why I asked is there was an international survey about teaching in 2007 or so, that said that, let me get this right, it's called Teaching and Learning International Survey. It said principals in Poland reported that they score higher in instructional leadership than in administrative leadership.
This is showing how to teach.
Yeah, it is. It's being the head of instruction in the school. It is their direct or indirect behaviors that lead teachers as teachers lead students. Being an instructional leader is a difficult role because of the time factor. In the United States, we often talk about administrative leadership at the school. We have a principal who's the head of a building, and then we have assistant principals or vice principals. And often the vice principal, or even the principal if it's a small school, does not have time for the instructional leadership piece because of what we call the 3 B's: buses, books, and butts. So we get caught up in the administrative side of things versus the instructional side of things, which we really, as the building leaders, need to be in charge of. So instructional leadership is important, but we don't put enough time in doing it because we don't have enough time to do it. I'm not sure how you do it in Poland in terms of schools, but when is the last time that you were in a classroom and actually taught a lesson? So here are some best practices of effective instructional leadership, and these could be some things that you're already doing now, and if not, it could be some things that you can put into your tool bag, your bag of tricks. So as an instructional leader, and I'm just going to read these, you initiate and guide conversations about instruction and student learning that's oriented towards high expectations and concrete goals, first. Second, you demonstrate knowledge of 21st century curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Next, you ensure that there is an appropriate and logical alignment between the school curriculum and any accountability program.
We don't understand what is meant by the accountability.
Exactly. Testing results when you're testing students and evaluation of programs.
Ocenę programów, is it an external evaluation?
Sometimes. So this just shows you effective schools and how it all works together in terms of the culture of the school. And these are all of the elements that work together to make the school effective towards student achievement.